Sir, I think it's not the body, it's the air. Rachel Moreau's voice cracks the silence like glass breaking on marble. 20 faces snap toward her. White coats, surgical masks, stethoscopes dangling like accusations. One doctor, silver-haired and sharp-eyed, laughs, a short, bitter sound that cuts through the beeping machines. Excuse me? The air? Welcome back, my beautiful family and friends. If you're hooked in and you're ready to enjoy this story, click subscribe and let me know in the comments where you're watching from. Because tomorrow, I'll be dropping another story just as wild as this one. You don't want to miss it. Now, back to our story. Rachel's apron feels too tight. Her fingers, still raw from scrubbing the penthouse floors an hour ago, curl into fists at her sides. The room smells wrong. Sweet. Chemical. Like rotting flowers dipped in acetone. She's smelled it before, years ago in her grandmother's cramped Brooklyn apartment when Mrs. Chen from 4B collapsed during a church gathering. Grandma had known immediately. Synthetic fragrance poisoning, she'd whispered, pulling the diffuser from the wall. Rachel swallows hard. The lavender diffuser. It's not real lavender. It's... Enough! The silver-haired doctor steps forward, his jaw tight. We don't need folk remedies from the help. This woman is in respiratory failure. We need... She's dying because you're pumping poison into the room. Rachel's voice rises before she can stop it. Heat floods her cheeks. You stupid girl. You just signed your own termination. But Sun Lee, the man with the coiled dragon tattoo snaking up his throat, doesn't move. He stands beside his mother's bed. Hands folded, eyes colder than the marble floors. His suit is perfect, tailored, sharp, expensive. But there's sweat on his temple. A single bead, catching the fluorescent light. Explain, he says. His voice is low, controlled, lethal. Quickly. Rachel's pulse hammers in her ears. She can feel the doctor's stares drilling into her back. One of them mutters something in Korean. She doesn't understand the words, but the tone is clear. Who does this girl think she is? My grandmother, she was a healer. Old world methods. She taught me to recognize synthetic toxins masking as aromatherapy. Rachel points to the corner diffuser, a sleek ceramic model releasing faint mist. That scent isn't lavender oil. It's methyl anthranilate mixed with butyl acetate. It mimics floral notes, but irritates the respiratory system. Long exposure causes the same symptoms your mother has: chest tightness, arrhythmia, oxygen deprivation. Silence. Heavy, suffocating. Sun Lee's eyes flick to the diffuser, then back to Rachel. And you're certain? Rachel's throat goes dry. What if you're wrong? What if they're right and you're just a delusional maid who scrubs toilets? I've seen it before. It almost killed someone I knew. Another doctor scoffs. This is absurd. We've run every test. Then run one more. Rachel's voice steadies, even as her hands tremble. Turn off that diffuser. Open the windows. Give her body 5 minutes without the toxin cycling through her lungs. Sun Lee doesn't blink. He stares at Rachel like he's deciding whether to believe her or bury her. The dragon on his neck seems to coil tighter. Behind him, Madame Lee's monitor beeps erratically, her oxygen levels dropping, her chest barely rising. If I let you try this, Sun says, each word deliberate, and she dies, you die next. Rachel's knees nearly buckle. The fluorescent lights buzz above her. The cold air from the ventilation system bites at her damp hairline. She can smell her own sweat mixing with the false lavender, the sterile antiseptic, the fear leaking from everyone in the room. Have you ever known the truth, but been too afraid to speak it? She nods once. I understand. Sun Lee turns to the nearest doctor. Shut it off. All of it. Windows open. Now. The room erupts in protests, but Sun's hand rises, one sharp gesture, and the chaos stops. A junior doctor rushes to the diffuser, unplugs it. Another cracks open the massive bay windows. Cold December air floods in, cutting through the chemical sweetness. Rachel watches Madame Lee's face, waiting, praying. Sun Lee leans closer, his breath warm against Rachel's ear. If she dies, you die next. The camera zooms in on Rachel's hands, one gripping the bedpost, knuckles white, the other hovering near the turned-off diffuser, fingers trembling like a held breath. The window stays open. Cold December air slices through the penthouse like a blade drawn across skin, but the chemical sweetness fades with each passing second. Rachel watches Madame Lee's chest, shallow, stuttering breaths that sound like paper tearing, like something fragile about to break completely. She's not improving. The silver-haired doctor crosses his arms, his stethoscope swinging like a pendulum. This is a waste of critical time. We need to intubate immediately. Give her 2 more minutes, Sun Lee says. His voice is a wall. Immovable. Rachel's hands won't stop shaking. The tremor runs from her fingertips up through her wrists, into her shoulders. What if you're wrong? What if she dies and they throw you off the balcony? What if your grandmother's knowledge was just folklore and desperation? Her grandmother's canvas bag sits by the door where she dropped it this morning, a lifetime ago. Inside, dried eucalyptus, peppermint root, a small ceramic bowl, yarrow flowers. Tools that have no place in a room full of machines and medical degrees and men who spent a decade learning to save lives. But Madame Lee's lips are turning blue, the color draining like ink in water. Rachel moves before she can think, before fear can paralyze her completely. She grabs the bag, pulls out the herbs with trembling fingers, crushes them between her palms. The scent, sharp, bitter, alive, cuts through the antiseptic air like a knife through silk. A nurse gasps. Another takes a step back. What is she doing? Boil water, Rachel says, her voice steadier than her heartbeat, steadier than her hands, steadier than her belief in herself. Now. Sun Lee nods once. A guard disappears, returns 30 seconds later with a kettle from the kitchen, steam rising from the spout. Rachel pours the boiling water into her grandmother's ceramic bowl, chipped at the rim, older than Rachel herself. She adds the crushed herbs. The steam rises thick and green, smelling like earth and rain and something ancient, something that existed long before hospitals and heart monitors. She leans over Madame Lee, holding the bowl near her face, letting the steam wash over the matriarch's nose and mouth. Breathe, she whispers. Just breathe. Your body remembers how. The doctors erupt like a disturbed hive. You're introducing contaminants. This is malpractice. She needs oxygen, not... This is insanity. Silence. Sun's voice cracks like a whip across stone. The room goes dead quiet. Rachel presses her fingers to the pressure points on Madame Lee's wrists. Her grandmother's technique, passed down through 3 generations of women who healed when hospitals turned people away, when being black meant being last in line, when traditional knowledge was all they had. The skin is cold, clammy, like touching marble. Rachel counts her own heartbeat, matches the rhythm, applies pressure in slow pulses. 1, 2, 3. Release. 1, 2, 3. Release. 1 minute crawls by. 2. The monitor beeps erratically, a frantic jazz rhythm that makes no sense. Madame Lee's chest convulses once, violently, her back arching off the bed, then stills. Rachel's breath catches in her throat. No, no, please. The herbal steam curls around Madame Lee's face like fingers, like prayer, like hope made visible. Her nostrils flare. Once. Twice. Her eyelids flutter like moth wings testing the air. Then her chest rises. A full breath. Deep. Real. The kind of breath that means life. The room exhales as one. A junior doctor stumbles backward into the velvet armchair, his legs giving out. Another wipes sweat from his forehead, leaving a smear of blood from a bitten fingernail he didn't realize he'd chewed raw. Sun Li's jaw unclenches. For 1 second, just one, Rachel sees something crack behind his eyes. Relief. Raw and unguarded and human. But then the monitor flatlines. A single, endless tone. The green line goes flat as a highway. Madam Lee's hand, which had begun to warm under Rachel's touch, goes slack, heavy, lifeless. Every machine in the room screams at once. Rachel's world narrows to the sound. That flat, merciless beep drilling into her skull like a dental drill, like accusation, like death itself singing. You killed her. You killed her with your arrogance and your grandmother's superstitions and your belief that you were special. But then Madam Lee's eyes snap open. Not slow, not gradual, not the gentle flutter of waking from sleep. Snap. Like someone surfacing from drowning, like someone clawing back from the edge. Her pupils contract against the fluorescent glare. Her mouth opens wide, and she gasps. A sound like wind rushing into a cave. Like the world's first breath. The monitor stutters, hiccups. Then, beep, beep, beep. The green line resurrects itself, jagged but climbing, alive. Oxygen saturation rising, a nurse whispers, staring at the screen like it's performing a magic trick, like the laws of medicine just rewrote themselves. 72%. 78, 85, 90. Rachel's knees buckle. She catches herself on the edge of the bed, her palm pressing into the silk duvet. The fabric is warm now, damp with steam and sweat, and something that might be miracle. She smells antiseptic mixing with peppermint, the faint metallic tang of blood, where she bit her own cheek without realizing, the lingering bitter scent of the herbs. How... The silver-haired doctor steps forward, his voice thin as paper, his certainty shattered. What did you... Doesn't matter. Sun Li moves between Rachel and the doctors, his body a barricade, his presence a wall. The hum of the central heating kicks in, filling the sudden silence with white noise, with normalcy, with the sound of life continuing. She's stable. That's what matters. Madam Lee's hand moves. Slow, trembling, it reaches toward Rachel like a plant reaching for sunlight. The matriarch's voice is barely a rasp, barely sound, but it carries weight. You saved me. Rachel's throat tightens. Words stick like thorns. I couldn't stand by and... You saved me when 20 experts failed. Madam Lee's eyes are dark, sharp, alive in a way they weren't 10 minutes ago. There's recognition there. Gratitude. And something else. Something that looks like respect. What's your name, child? Rachel Moreau? Ma'am. Rachel! Madam Lee tests the name like wine. You have your grandmother's gift. Sun Li's hand settles on Rachel's shoulder. Not rough, but firm. She can feel the crisp edge of his suit jacket against her bare arm. Smell the faint cologne mixing with the lingering herbs. Feel the weight of decision in his touch. She stays, he announces to the room. Not a question, a decree. Under my employ, personal staff. No one questions this. Personal staff? Rachel's pulse spikes. That's not cleaning floors. That's not invisible labor. That's being part of this house. Part of whatever darkness lives here. I don't need... She starts. You don't have a choice. Sun's eyes meet hers. Not cruel, just certain. Final. You saved the most important person in this family. That makes you valuable. That makes you ours. And in this house, valuable things are protected. Or controlled, Rachel thinks but doesn't say. A doctor near the window mutters something. Rachel catches only 3 words. But they're enough. Someone wanted her dead. She turns sharply, but the man's face is half in shadow. his expression unreadable behind his surgical mask. His eyes, though, they're watching her, calculating. The lights flicker once, then steady. Outside, a siren wails past. Life continuing. Death postponed. Rachel looks at Madame Lee's hand still reaching for hers, and she takes it. The private study smells like lacquered wood and old money. Rachel sits in a chair that probably costs more than 6 months of her rent, trying not to touch anything, trying to make herself small. Across from her, Sun Lee pours tea from a porcelain pot so delicate it's almost translucent, painted with cranes in flight. The clink of fine china against saucer sounds too loud in the quiet, too civilized for what this conversation really is. "Tell me about your grandmother," he says. Rachel's fingers tighten around her cup. The tea is scalding, bitter green, the kind that wakes you up and strips away pretense. "What do you want to know?" "Everything." Sun leans back, his suit jacket perfectly tailored even in this informal moment, even with the day's violence still fresh. Outside, street noise filters through double-glazed windows, distant horns, muffled sirens, the bass thump of music from a passing car. But it all feels a world away, like watching life through aquarium glass. Where she learned, who taught her, why a maid carries herbs in her bag like a doctor carries a stethoscope. This is a test. Rachel can feel it in the way he watches her, the way the house staff whispered when she walked past them earlier, the way the maids averted their eyes and the guards studied her like a puzzle to solve. The girl who saved Madame Lee. The girl who doesn't belong but won't leave. She was born in Haiti, Rachel says carefully, weighing each word. Grew up in the mountains outside Port-au-Prince. Her mother was a healer, what they called a docte fée, a leaf doctor. She learned plants, roots, what grows in shadow versus sun, what heals versus what harms. And you? I watched, I learned. I never thought I'd use it. Rachel sets down her cup, the porcelain clicking softly. She told me stories while she worked. Said every plant has a purpose, every root a reason. Said modern medicine forgot that bodies are ecosystems, not machines. Sun's eyes narrow, but not with suspicion, with interest. Why not become a doctor yourself? Why not take that knowledge to medical school? The question lands like a slap. Rachel tastes shame, metallic, familiar, the flavor of every guidance counselor who looked at her transcript and said impressive. But can you afford it? Medical school costs money I didn't have. My grandmother got sick when I was 20. Lung disease, needed care. I needed work, not more debt. So I cleaned offices at night, took care of her during the day, and told myself I'd go back to school later. And later never came. Later turned into 5 years of watching her fade. Then she died. Then I was just a woman with a GED, and no references who knew how to scrub floors and mix herbs nobody believed in. Rachel's voice hardens. So yes, I clean penthouses instead of saving lives. Except today, apparently. You just saved a life. The words hang between them. I did, which is why you're interrogating me instead of firing me. Sun Lee smiles. It doesn't reach his eyes, but there's something genuine in it. Appreciation, maybe. Or recognition. You're smarter than you pretend to be. I have to be. He pours more tea, the gesture formal, ritualized. What do you want from me, Rachel? Nothing. I want to go home. You can't. He sets the pot down with finality. You're part of this household now. That means you see things, hear things, things that stay in this house. His voice drops. Do you understand what kind of family you just saved? Rachel's throat goes dry. Say yes. Say yes and stay safe. But her grandmother's voice echoes, "Never sell your soul for safety, baby. Your dignity is all you truly own." "I understand," she whispers. Sun Li nods slowly. "Good. Your quarters are on the 3rd floor. Mrs. Choi will show you around tomorrow. Get some rest." That night, alone in a bedroom larger than her entire apartment, Rachel finds an envelope slipped under her door. No name. No return address. Inside, one line in neat, precise handwriting. "We don't like nosy servants." Her hands go cold. The paper trembles. Rachel wakes to her throat closing. Not slow, not gradual, not the gentle constriction of anxiety or stress. 1 second she's dreaming of her grandmother's kitchen, the yellow wallpaper, the pot of beans on the stove, the smell of thyme. And the next, she's choking on air that won't come, that turns to concrete in her lungs. Her throat is a collapsed tunnel. Her chest is a vice tightening with each failed breath, the same scent. Sweet, chemical, floral, wrong. Someone put a diffuser in her room while she slept. Someone with access. Someone who knew exactly where she'd be. She tries to scream, but her throat is a stone wall. Sweat soaks through her nightgown, cold and slick against her skin. Her body's desperate attempt to cool itself while it suffocates. She tastes copper. Blood from where she bit her tongue in her sleep, in panic, in the body's violent rejection of what's happening. The fluorescent hallway light bleeding under her door is too bright, too sharp, like staring into the sun while drowning. You're dying. Just like Madame Lee almost did. They're killing you for saving her, for being seen, for mattering. Rachel rolls off the bed, crashes to the floor. The impact jars her ribs, sends pain shooting through her shoulder, but it doesn't matter because she can't breathe, can't think, can't do anything but crawl. Her vision tunnels to a pinpoint. She crawls toward her bag, the one with her grandmother's herbs, the one she kept close even here. But her arms won't obey. They're distant things, foreign objects attached to a body that's shutting down system by system. The room tilts, spins, darkens at the edges. Muffled voices outside her door. Footsteps running. Someone shouting her name, but it sounds like it's coming from underwater, from another dimension, from a place she's no longer connected to. The door slams open hard enough to crack the frame. Sun Li fills the doorway, his face a mask of fury that cracks into something worse when he sees her on the floor. Behind him, guards, doctors, chaos spilling into her small, borrowed room. "Get her to the clinic, now!" His voice is raw, stripped of control. Hands lift her. The hallway blurs past in a kaleidoscope of cream walls and marble floors and concerned faces that might be genuine or might be the faces of whoever did this. She hears arguing. "Let us treat her." No, she knows something. If she dies, move, just move. Rachel's mind fractures. Trust the doctors. They might cover it up. They might be part of this. Use your own methods? You're too weak. Your hands won't work. Your body is betraying you. Someone holds a mask to her face. Oxygen floods in, pure and cold, but it's not enough. The poison is already in her system, already attacking, already winning. Her grandmother's voice cuts through the fog. "Peppermint root, baby. Crush it. Breathe it. It'll cut through anything synthetic." Rachel's hand claws toward the nearest guard, her fingers catching his belt. "Bag," she rasps. The word scrapes her throat raw. "My bag." Sun Li understands immediately. He runs back to her room, returns with her canvas bag. Rachel's fingers find the peppermint root with muscle memory, with desperation, with the knowledge that this is her last chance. She crushes it between her palms. The scent, sharp, medicinal, alive, fills her nostrils, cuts through the poison like light through fog. She breathes, once, twice, each breath a war. Her lungs unlock. Air rushes in like a river breaking a dam. The clinic room comes into focus. White walls, machines beeping. Sun Li's face inches from hers, his jaw tight enough to crack teeth, his eyes searching hers for signs of life, of consciousness. Of Rachel still being Rachel. "Who did this?" he demands. Rachel's mind clears enough to remember. The envelope, the handwriting, the way one of the guards looked at her yesterday, too long, too cold, too pleased. She tries to form the name, but her tongue is thick, useless. The supply route, someone says behind Sun. A doctor maybe, someone examining the diffuser they brought from her room. The device came from inside the house. Same supplier as the previous one. Someone on staff is ordering these. Someone with access to procurement. Rachel's lips move. A single word, barely a whisper, barely sound. Choi. The name hangs in the air like smoke, like accusation, like truth. Sun Li's face goes white, then red, then something beyond color. He turns to his guards. "Find her. Now. Bring her to me alive." Rachel tries to say more, to explain about the envelope, about the handwriting, about the way Mrs. Choi smiled too sweetly yesterday. But her consciousness is fraying at the edges, her body demanding rest, demanding recovery, demanding she stop fighting and just let the doctors work. "Stay with me," Sun says, his hand gripping hers. "Rachel, stay." She tries. She really does, but the darkness is warm and quiet and so tempting. Her eyes close. The world goes silent. Mrs. Choi sits across from Sun Li in his office, her hands folded too neatly in her lap. The bitter coffee on his desk has gone cold, a film forming on the surface like oil on water. Rachel stands by the window, watching the street below, tires screeching around corners, delivery trucks honking. Life moving too fast while time in this room crawls like something wounded. "I would never harm Madam Li." Mrs. Choi's voice is steady, practiced, but her left eye twitches. Once, twice. "I've served this family for 19 years. Sun Li opens a file. The leathery smell of old paper fills the air. Musty, archival, the scent of secrets kept too long. Inside, bank statements, wire transfers, purchases made under false names. He slides a photograph across the desk. "Then explain these." Mrs. Choi's face drains of color. Her lips part, but no sound comes. Rachel can see her pulse hammering in her throat. "Synthetic lavender compound. Ordered 3 weeks ago. Delivered to your sister's address." Sun's voice is scalpel sharp, each word a precise cut. "The same compound that nearly killed my mother." "The same compound used on Rachel." Rachel's stomach turns. She remembers Mrs. Choi's smile yesterday, the way she'd offered Rachel tea after the interrogation, the warmth in her voice when she said welcome to the family. "How many times did you stand beside me, knowing you wanted me dead?" "Sir, please." Mrs. Choi stands, her chair scraping against hardwood. The sound sets Rachel's teeth on edge. "I can explain. Those transactions, they're not what they look like." "Sit down." She doesn't. Instead, she bolts for the door. Sun moves like water, fluid, deadly. One step and he's blocking her path. But Mrs. Choi is faster than she looks, more desperate than anyone anticipated. She shoves past him with surprising strength, sprinting down the hallway. Her shoes clatter on marble. Guards react too slow, stunned by the audacity. She's at the stairwell before anyone catches up. Rachel hears the crash of a door slamming open, shouting in Korean, the thunder of feet on marble stairs. Someone yells, "Ground floor exit, block it!" Sun Li's jaw tightens. His hands curl into fists at his sides. "Find her! Alive!" Alive means interrogation. Alive means answers. Alive means you'll hear her scream while they break her fingers one by one, pulling out the names of everyone who helped her. Rachel's pulse hammers against her ribs. What if we just call the police?" Sun turns to her slowly. His eyes are empty of mercy. The police can't protect you from who hired her. The police can't reach into the networks that want you dead. This stays in-house. But this is how people disappear. This is how you become everything you claim you're not. Yes. His voice is flat. Final. A door closing. It is. A guard bursts into the office, breathless, holding a clear vial between gloved fingers. Inside, amber liquid, a label with a barcode, and a name printed in small black letters. Rachel Moreau. Found this in Mrs. Choi's locker, the guard says. Custom poison, bio-targeted, coded to your DNA markers. If she'd gotten close enough to dose your food or water... Rachel's knees give out. She catches the edge of the desk, her palms slick with sweat, the wood cool and solid beneath her fingers. Sun Li's eyes go black. Not angry, worse. Calculated. Double the security. No one gets near her. Sweep every room she's been in. Test every surface. No one eats or drinks anything that hasn't been pre-screened. But Rachel's mind is already racing, spiraling. If Mrs. Choi had a vial with my name on it, who else does? How many more are out there? The envelope arrives at dawn, slipped under Rachel's door while she slept. Or tried to. She hasn't really slept since the vial. Since learning someone, somewhere designed a poison just for her. Coded to her DNA. Personal, intimate, lethal. Inside the envelope, a single photograph. Rachel, walking through the penthouse garden yesterday, pruning basil, completely unaware. A red circle drawn around her head in thick marker. No words, no signature. Just that circle, that target. Her hands shake so hard the photo flutters to the floor like a dying leaf. By noon, there are 3 more. One tucked inside her bathroom cabinet behind the toothpaste. One folded inside her pillowcase. She'd slept on it without knowing. One taped to the mirror in the hallway outside her room, positioned at exact eye level. They're inside the house. They know where you sleep, where you breathe, where you're most vulnerable. Sun Li finds her in the library, staring at the silk curtains rippling in the breeze from an open window she knows she didn't open. She'd locked it last night, triple-checked. But now it's open 6 inches, the lock mechanism intact but disabled somehow. Pack your things, he says without preamble. You're moving to the secured wing. No windows, reinforced door, guards posted 24/7. No. Rachel's voice surprises her. Steadier than she feels, stronger than her trembling hands suggest. If I hide, they win. If I become a prisoner in this house, they've already killed me. If you die, they win permanently. Sun pulls a pistol from his jacket, sets it on the mahogany table between them. The metal gleams cold and deadly under the chandelier light. You have 2 choices. Armed guards follow you everywhere, or you learn to shoot. Pick one. Rachel stares at the gun. The handle is scratched, well used. This isn't for show. Take it and become part of their world. Cross a line you can't uncross. Refuse and become a corpse with principles. I didn't ask for this life. You saved my mother. That made you family. Family has enemies. That's not negotiable. I just wanted to help people. That's all I've ever wanted. You did. Now people want to kill you for it. Sun's voice softens, just barely, a crack in the armor. Let me protect you, please. Protection means cameras, guards, eyes watching your every move. You'll never shower alone, never walk freely, never be just Rachel again. But the alternative is a red circle on a photograph, a vial with her name on it, a poison designed specifically to stop her heart and no one else's. Fine, she whispers, but I won't carry a gun. I won't become that. Sun Li's jaw tightens, a muscle jumping beneath the skin, but he nods slowly. Then you don't leave this floor without 2 guards minimum. You don't open doors, you don't answer windows, you don't trust anyone who isn't me or my mother. Understood? Understood. That night, Rachel wakes to the soft click of her door lock sliding open. Not the crash of forced entry, not the alarm, just that quiet, precise click of someone with a key, someone authorized. She freezes, holds her breath, watches the sliver of hallway light widen as the door creeps inward, slow and deliberate. A shadow, tall, moving fast. She opens her mouth to scream. A guard crashes through from the side corridor, tackles the intruder to the ground. The crack of bone against marble echoes through the hall like a gunshot. Bodies thrashing, grunts of effort. Rachel's scream finally comes. Too late. Too loud. Primal. The intruder's face turns toward her, blood streaming from his nose. She knows him. Kitchen staff, third shift. Someone who smiled at her yesterday and asked how she liked her eggs. The quiet click of a sliding bolt echoes as more guards flood in. The interrogation room reeks of gunpowder and fear. The kitchen worker, his name is Quan, Rachel remembers now. He always hummed while chopping vegetables, won't stop crying. Sun Li stands over him, knuckles bruised and bleeding, breathing hard through clenched teeth. Rachel watches from the doorway, her stomach churning, bile rising in her throat. "Who hired you?" Sun demands for the 5th time. Quan shakes his head violently. Blood drips from his split lip onto the concrete floor, forming a small, dark pool. "I can't. He'll kill my family. My daughter is only 8. Please." Sun grabs him by the collar, slams him against the wall. The impact rattles the chandelier overhead, sending crystal prisms swinging wildly, casting fractured light across the room. "I'll kill them myself if you don't talk. Give me a name." "Enough!" The voice comes from behind Rachel, smooth and cultured and utterly cold. She turns, freezes. Madame Li's younger brother, Uncle Jin, steps into the room. His suit is immaculate, Savile Row tailoring, a pocket square folded with geometric precision. His smile is the kind that never reaches the eyes. In his hand, a pistol, silencer attached, aimed directly at Rachel's chest. "Uncle?" Sun's voice cracks, not with fear, with something worse. Disbelief, betrayal, the sound of a foundation crumbling. "She should have stayed in her place." Uncle Jin's accent is thicker than Sun's, his words measured like coins being counted. "Maids don't save matriarchs. They scrub floors. They remain invisible. She disrupted everything we built, everything we are." Rachel's legs won't move. She smells the metallic tang of blood mixing with the bitter scent of old concrete and gunpowder residue. Her pulse hammers in her ears so loud she almost can't hear his next words. "The old ways kept us safe, kept us powerful. Fear is currency. Loyalty through terror. Your mother was supposed to die. The succession was supposed to transfer cleanly. But this girl," he spits the word like poison, "this nobody saved her, made us look weak, made rivals think we could be challenged." Sun steps between them, his body a human shield. "Lower the gun. Move, nephew. This doesn't concern you." "I said lower it." She knows too much. The doctors, the poison, the family structure. She's seen how we operate. She's heard conversations. She's a liability we can't afford. Uncle Jin's finger tightens on the trigger, the knuckle whitening. "This was always going to end this way. You were just too blinded by sentiment to see it." Sun doesn't flinch. His voice drops to something deadly quiet. "You kill her. You kill me first." Madame Li appears in the doorway, moving slowly but with absolute authority. Her face is pale, but her voice is iron-wrapped in silk. "Jin, what have you done?" "What you were too weak to do. What sentiment prevented." Uncle Jin's eyes are wild now, desperate, a cornered animal showing teeth. "The syndicate doesn't need healers. It needs fear, respect. She's made us soft, made you soft, letting a maid dictate terms, accepting her methods, trusting her. It's made us vulnerable. She saved my life. She ruined ours. Don't you see? Every family under our protection now thinks they can question us, thinks they can bring in outsiders, thinks kindness is strength. His voice rises, cracking. I did this for us. For legacy. For power. The gun shifts, aims past Sun, directly at Rachel's chest, center mass. Sun moves, fast, a blur of motion and fury, and something that might be love, or might be duty, or might be both. The shot cracks through the air, a sound that steals oxygen. That stops time. Someone screams. Rachel can't tell if it's her or Madame Lee or Quan still chained to the wall. The chandelier above them shudders. One crystal strand snaps, crashes to the floor in an explosion of glass. When the ringing in Rachel's ears fades enough to hear again, she sees Sun on the ground. Blood spreading across his white shirt in a bloom of crimson, growing, spreading, too much, too fast. Uncle Jin's face goes white. The gun trembles in his hand. No, I didn't. You weren't supposed to. Guards flood in, weapons drawn, shouting. Rachel drops to her knees beside Sun, her hands already moving, ripping fabric, applying pressure, doing what she was born to do. His eyes find hers. He tries to speak, but only blood comes out. The bullet went through Sun's shoulder, not his heart, not his lungs. Just the shoulder, a wound that bleeds like fury but doesn't kill if treated fast enough. Rachel is the one who stops the bleeding. Her hands move on instinct, years of watching her grandmother work flowing through muscle memory. She tears strips from her shirt, packs the wound with pressure while guards wrestle Uncle Jin to the ground, his gun clattering across concrete. She smells gunpowder residue on her fingers, tastes blood in the back of her throat, hears Madame Lee shouting orders in rapid Korean. The private hospital won't ask questions. Not for this family. Not ever. But the questions Rachel asks herself don't stop. Not during the surgery. Not during the recovery. Not during the 3 days Sun spends unconscious while his body knits itself back together. He took a bullet for you. A mafia heir stepped between you and death. Why? What does that mean? What do you owe him now? 3 days later, Sun Lee is awake, alive. Sitting in the penthouse herb garden, Rachel started cultivating in the corner of the rooftop terrace. Warm sunlight filters through the wooden trellises, dappling his face with light and shadow. The earthy smell of soil and basil fills the air, mixing with the distant city scent of exhaust and concrete. Rachel kneels beside a row of peppermint she planted that morning. Her hands are steadier now, confident, dirt under her nails, purpose in her chest where fear used to live. You should have let me die, Sun says quietly. His arm is in a sling, his face still pale, but his voice is clear. Rachel doesn't look up from her planting. No one deserves to die for doing the right thing. I'm not a good man. I've done things. Neither was your uncle. But when it mattered, you chose differently. She pulls a weed, sets it aside gently in the compost pile. That's what matters. Not what you've done. What you choose to do next. Madame Lee approaches, walking slowly but without assistance for the first time since the poisoning. She's wearing a simple dress, no jewelry, no makeup, no armor. Just a woman who almost died and learned something profound from it. She holds out her hand, palm up. Rachel places a sprig of fresh peppermint in her palm. The leaves are bright green, vibrant, alive. You were the miracle we didn't deserve, Sun says. His voice cracks. Just once, just barely, but enough. Rachel finally meets his eyes. You don't get to decide what you deserve. None of us do. You just get to decide what you do with what you're given. Madame Lee closes her fingers around the peppermint, bringing it to her nose, inhaling deeply. Tears slide down her cheeks, catch on the edge of her sleeve. The house will change. No more fear as foundation. No more silence as protection. No more treating people as expendable. Can it? Rachel asks. Really? Can people like you change? Because of you, Sun says. Yes. You showed us another way. A better way. The garden is quiet except for the distant hum of the city below. A siren wails somewhere. Life continuing. Rachel's hands rest in the soil. The same hands that saved 2 lives. That refused to stay silent when silence was safer. That chose courage over comfort. She doesn't smile. She doesn't need to. Doesn't need validation or applause or gratitude that comes with strings attached. She just nods once. Steady. Unshaken. Trusted. Sun reaches out with his good hand. Places it over hers where it rests in the earth. His palm is warm. Human. Thank you. Rachel looks at their hands together in the soil. Old wounds and new growth. Death survived and life beginning. You're welcome, she says. The camera holds on her face as the sunlight shifts, golden and warm, as a breeze lifts the scent of peppermint and basil into the air, fade on Rachel's eyes, calm, knowing, free.